There was once a girl that lived in a fishing village. It got raided by cannibals, becoming the first village. Girl watched as her mother was torn apart by the cannibals. She ran to Bess and was enslaved by the United Cities. She always hated the way the nobles leered at her. However, unfortunately, the Holy Nation attacked. She was brought to the Phoenix. He liked her looks and was sent to live at his personal abode. This is where she met Sophia, and in a couple of days they planned to escape, burning the Phoenix's home down and taking 2 weapons. Narco's Doom, wielded by Girl, and Okran's Pride, wielded by Sophia, and now they are at the hub. However, due to their ignorance of the world, they both have no plans. So they journeyed further south, entering the town of Squin. While Sophia was hesitant of the shack, Girl easily befriended one of the servants, Ruka. Going back out of town, they mine some copper, and Ruka goes into town to sell it. However, when Ruka journeys back, she's accosted by mountain bandits. Knowing that she cannot take them on her own, she calls for her sisters and runs to the gates. Although feeling like a coward, she still wants to prove herself. As the 3 fight the bandits alongside the guards, Girl and Sophia note that their weapons are heavy and hard to wield. After the fight finishes, Ruka begins scavenging the bodies, taking their weapons, the only thing valuable on them, and their armour, but less valuable than their swords. Whilst Girl and Sophia tried to tend to the shack woman's wounds, and talk to her a bit. Ruka brushes this off as flat-skinned flabbering, and goes to flog the weapons. As Ruka sold her spoils, she checked the armourer to see what they had, anything useful. She could not find anything, so she decided to check the weapons vendor, feeling a bit embarrassed for wielding a wakizashi. However, yet again, finding nothing. Ruka returned to the 2 with a bag of cats in hand and a big smile on her face. The girls were happy to see that Ruka tended to her own injuries. They decide that they're going to need some training equipment, and so they head to a way station. They hear that there is a training sensei nearby that can sell them equipment. However, a group of Shek, the Spider Clan, aren't too pleased about Flatskins being in their region, and so they attack. The girls both go unconscious, Ruka the last one standing, only to be beaten down. They walk away, not even bothering to loot. Girl then wakes up, picking up Ruka's medicine and using the rest of it to heal her. After bandaging her with what little they had, they grab her and try to take her to the way station. Buying some medical supplies and healing themselves. After bandaging each other up, they head upstairs and go to bed. Ruka jumps out of the bed a bit confused, but realizes where she is and lies back down. Now awake and ready to go, they buy some of the training equipment from the sensei and then go at it for a bit. Although Ruka hangs back, resting a bit more. She did receive the worst of it after all. After 2 5-hour training sessions, they're at least capable fighters now. They won't be able to take on a master on their own, but together with Ruka, they have a chance. And so they get back onto the road, where they find this outlaw, unconscious, bleeding, but still very much alive. So we take him in and get 1,000 cats. Back out in the wilds again, another group of Shek try to accost us, but decide otherwise. Not worth their time, I assume. And finally, we reached the city of Agnag, but there was nothing here, so we headed back out. Not far from the town, we found a bunch of war maidens fighting some bone dogs. After skinning and butchering them, we continued on our way. We ran past the great fortress. Since it was dilapidated, we decided to leave it alone. And now we have our first run-in with the arachnids. Although they don't see us, we see them. A crazy cult of spider worshippers, probably also wanting to get at the Bugmaster like the Shek do, although for different reasons. We finally stand in Last Stand, the last of the Shek territory. Many Shek come here for their final meal before charging off to try and get at the Bugmaster. A futile effort. Ruka, yet again, checking the armour shop. She is itching to get out of her servant rags and in some warrior armour. However, nothing here is affordable for now. As we leave Last Stand, not for the last time, some of the Shek warriors complain again about us being around. Flatskins. On our way out, we run into another Shek clan. Don't know which, they both dress the same. Instead of being victims, we take action and attack them. We succeed and loot their bodies, and Ruka gets the armour she wanted so badly. We run back to Last Stand and flog the gear. Midway through, I sell the training gear that I just bought. And with the money, Ruka buys herself this Roman armour that goes well with these scrap leggings, bankrupting us. And so we head back out into the wild to look for more money. Which we do quite quickly. We find another group of berserkers that have been taken down by the group of Shek Kingdom. So we scavenge, and Ruka trades out her scrap leggings for these shin guards. They look alright. We flog the gear that we just scavenged and then head back out. Anyway, the rest of this is just the same footage. Find a group of dead berserkers, loot them, sell them, and because Ruka had some chest damage, I have forgotten from where and I can't find in the footage, so we go to sleep. So, back up again, we repeat, and this repetition is getting on Ruka's nerves. Fight berserkers, loot berserkers, bring them back to the shop and sell them for more cats. The repetition got so bad that the girls decided to just go back to Squin at this point. As we go to the shops, we found exactly what we were looking for, a large traveller backpack, something I was going to give to both Girl and Sophia. And yet again, we buy a good set of armour, bankrupting ourselves. At least it looks cool. And Girl got to trade with Ruka. And now we run into a group of starvers. After giving the emaciated beggars a beating, we take everything that they have of value and, of course, going to flog it. On one of the beggars, we find a stretch tube, a good training weapon for crossbows. We won't kill the people we accidentally shoot, like our allies, like Ruka. And yet again accosted by another Shek. We give him a reason to hate flatskins, or to appreciate them. We don't really know what Shek think after they've been ruthlessly beaten and looted. As we take his equipment, Sophia tries it on. A little bit embarrassed, but there is no time to reflect on that as a bunch of Shek attack. Probably his buddies. And here we have our first encounter with that spider cult I mentioned earlier. However, they're not interested in us. Not yet, anyway. Perhaps those Shek killed their spiders. And now I buy a replacement training sword because I've realised I sold the weighted GI. But then I realised that we don't have enough money, so I tried attacking these Shek warriors. And because we attacked too close to the way station, the tech hunters also attacked us. And so we bolt it, but the tech hunters give up quickly. The Shek, however, do not. Then again, we did attack them in the first place. After we defeat the Shek, we head back to Squin, check the store for a backpack, flog our gear, and then go to sleep because we got hurt. Okay, today is a quick one. We go to the way station, check out if the tech hunters still hate us. They have a bounty system, but it doesn't seem to work. And so we buy some training equipment and then get to training with Ruka this time. Ruka beats the hell out of us because she doesn't have any training equipment and we do. And so we head back to the way station and rest up. And so Girl wakes up in the Guild of Surgeons Hall. She's had a concussion from one of the Shek beating her. However, the others got out fine, and they've got a bag full of loot to sell. Finding more dead berserkers on the road, they take the stuff to the way station. The guards look at them suspiciously, but they still are able to sell. Now that they have a ton of money, they go to Squin and recruit Keng and Ogira, two Shek warriors. Keng told them that he had to sell his gorilla hide. Noting how much money they had, he wanted them to buy it, and so they did, securing the Shek's loyalty, and Sophia was a little less tense around him. However, she was still uncomfortable about the amount of Sheks in the group. Noting this, when Girl went to Agmag, she recruited Rain the Giant and a human that was there. Whilst Girl was on her recruitment mission, Sophia heard of an armory deep in Vane, where the Hivers live. On the way, they encounter a Hive village. Not uncommon for this area. Sophia was creeped out by them, especially with the way they talked. They talked like humans, but not quite. Something was wrong with them. Ruka was a bit annoyed at seeing these hivers. They sold her a weapon that broke. However, Girl still peeked into their shack, or whatever they would call it, to have a look at what they sold. Nothing too interesting to them, and so they moved on. Whilst running, a gorilla chased them, so they stopped to fight it. The Shek charging ahead and taking the thing head on, whilst the girls shot from afar. Eventually the gorilla foaled and Kang was prideful. "I told you this pelt was mine," he said. So they continued on running towards the vault, running into a pack of Shek having a fight. So they jumped in as well, defeating them all and taking everything. Sophia does feel bad for doing this, but she keeps these thoughts quiet, as she doesn't want to offend the Sheks in the group. However, it wouldn't be a problem anyway because most of the Shek are unconscious, except Ruka. And then Girl realises something. Isn't this armory going to be locked? And so they realise that they need to go back and train their lockpicking. The Shinobi thieves have tools, but you need to pay 10,000 cats to get in. But they have a bunch of loot to sell that might cover the cost. So So they head back to Agmag. Whilst it doesn't look like there's a Shinobi Thieves Tower nearby, there was one, they just missed it. Whilst they let their allies rest, Girl and Sophia have a chat. Sophia wonders if what they're doing is right, taking their weapons, their armour. Girl retorts with they would do the same to us, if not worse, and that she's seen worse. Remember the cannibals, my mother? I told you about that. A cold silence hangs over them as a Hive merchant caravan comes in. Since they couldn't find the one in Agmag, they went down to the one in the hub. Paying the boss 10,000 cats, he lets them use their equipment. Kana trains with her swordsmanship. Don't mind the fact that she's using her crossbow, that's in our animation book. With Girl and Sophia's lockpicking trained up to 20, they both head out, heading to the armory with little to no problem this time. Not even a beak thing or a grillo. However, they still have no clue how to open up this type of door, so they get to whacking it open. When they open the door, they find that there are no robots, because they're on the second floor. Not letting an opportunity go to waste, they start to pick the locks on the chests, something that they actually are able to open, finding a weapon called Tempest Stampede. Whilst looting most of the containers on the first floor, Girl was still jiggying with the first lock she went on. Sophia takes the rest upstairs where the security is, and get into a massive brawl that even has Girl getting off the lock. When we're finally done, we loot Tempest Stampede, a flesh saw, a Meitu variant, and a Hamlet sword with the same maker. Tempest is given to Ruka. The Hamlet sword was first given to Kang and then the Giant, and Oberon took the flesh saw. Girl thought that it was a lot better for her allies to have actual weapons than rusting pieces of trash, and so they head back to Agmag to rest. We sell the weapons that we haven't given to our allies, and we go to the hub again, and we pick up this bard. We also give him an unholy chestplate.